A not so nice good morning this time to all the crypto and trading fans out there. Dear community, the market has continued to drop. My entries have been triggered. So not just with Bitcoin. Now, I have an entry at 101,000. I'll share that with you in a moment. With Ethereum, the situation is as follows. My first stop loss was triggered here at the 0.618, just before it. But the second position has now been opened at this Fibonacci level. And maybe you remember back when we were so high up, when we had those new highs, whether with Ethereum or if we go back to Bitcoin when we were at the top and I sold, back then people actually laughed at the idea that we would reach these prices, but it actually happened. I don't want to say I told you so, definitely not. What I always want to share with you is that you should be better prepared for a situation like this. Because if you don't, for example, use the Fibonacci levels like I do in my trading strategy, and you don't take that into account, then you just watch the price drop and maybe have no idea where you could go long while we're experiencing such massive corrections. And this could actually indicate a possible bottom formation for us now. We have strong support here, and I also want to point out that the 94,500 area is still a valid zone, which we could also test. We can see that here as well, based on this order block. And when I open the VPVR, you can see that we still have a large order block in this area. Because we'll take another look at this on the weekly chart as well. I think the weekly chart gives us even more information, showing that we actually still have the possibility to target this price area here. This is the largest volume profile. This volume bar here needs to remain our support. At the very least, if we go down there, because if we pick this up here, that's the largest volume area and that's our support zone, which extends exactly to the Fibonacci level. And accordingly, since there's a bit of volume down here at 94,000, I've also placed an order there. I'm going to increase it a bit as well. Right now, my order is exactly at 94,000 US dollars. I'll show you that in a moment. But if we go down, I currently have one at 105, one at 100,000, and I'll scale my position again down there. What does it look like at the current moment? If we go in here, I'll switch to the 4-hour chart. Take a look at this trading performance because I haven't just been bullish. I just want to share this again for everyone who isn't on my channel yet, my dear friends. Go ahead and subscribe. I'm really trying to provide the best possible and, above all, neutral content. Not just perma-bullish, not just perma-bearish, but really pointing out opportunities where the market could go and where, as a community, we've now been able to prepare ourselves very well so that at these low prices we have entry points. And in fact, up to this point, that has worked out well. We'll get back to the trading bots in a moment. I also have a little update for you there because we've already placed several additional buy orders. I've added a few more buy orders myself, and I want to share with you live how this works so you can see how to apply it if you're in the same situation, which I strongly suspect you are. But let's keep going. So Bitcoin, my current position, I don't have a stop loss set yet because there's another order that's going to be added, and we'll take a look at that on Bitget in just a moment. Here's my position, which is currently worth $23,700 and is slightly in profit. But as you can see, I bought in once at 105,000 and then placed another order yesterday at 100,000. I shared that one with you as well, and it has now been triggered. You have to imagine, since I'm doubling my position in this case, that means this entry, which was actually here because I doubled the position, really went down from 105,000 to 101,700. And accordingly, there's still another order waiting down here, again with a quarter of a Bitcoin, so a $25,000 position, which would double my current position once more, giving me an average entry price of around, let's say, $98,000, maybe a bit below that, roughly here. And that would be very, very reasonable for me. Where are the $97,000 located? Let's take another look at that on the Fibonacci level. That would actually be, even though I already entered earlier, I would simply double my position, roughly a bit above the 0.618 Fibonacci, so right in between, exactly where that happens. And for me, that would be a very valid entry for a reversal, a very strong reversal that we could have here. I would see that as a very valid entry point to really take the position long with a nice large position and not be stuck in a long position. Because I ignored all of that because, and this is also very, very important, which we need to go through again, I ignored the liquidation map. And you might know this, guys, the liquidation map is so important. Because we talked about how much was lying below us here. That was 16 billion. And as of today, after yesterday's dump, there are now 15 billion above us. Please don't forget that 15 billion in 1 week. That's a huge amount For me, that's a sign. We see here about $113,000, $112,000 to $113,000 that we might reach this level, at least for now. So what would that mean for me? Of course, we have the opportunity to catch that move on a short Fibonacci, which we can now plot here. If you don't know how this trading strategy works, go to my channel and watch the video, The Easiest Trading Strategy, and you're still not using it. Or check out the complete tutorial, Learn Trading Step by Step to Becoming a Pro Trader. There you'll learn everything in detail, how I approach things here and what I show on my channel. And it's best if you follow my videos, because then you'll always see how I do my live analyses, just like now, so you can understand why and how I act the way I do. What I'm looking at now, since we've made new lower lows, even in this case, is a possible area where we could head next. The new Fibonacci level during a recovery between 107,000 and 109,000. This is a very, very interesting level where we could be headed. That means, regardless of whether we drop again or not, here I will definitely secure my position that I currently have open, at least by setting the stop loss to break even, or at least moving the stop loss a bit closer so I don't lose any more, and I might also take partial profits. That would currently be my plan for Bitcoin. Let's take a look at all of this with Ethereum. With Ethereum, as I told you, we also had some really good trades here, my friends. Look, we took the short trade here. Here was a long trade that hit the stop loss. But then we had another long trade further down. That was this one here. We took partial profits here and set the stop loss to break even. And we also took this wonderful short position here. It could have lasted a bit longer, but that's not a big deal. These are profits that have been realized. And here was another small stop loss. Now I'll show you as well. You can see everything transparently. This was also triggered here with Ethereum. And now I got another stop loss here. I placed an additional order here because there was liquidity. But now I have this new entry here at around 3,200 US dollars. This position isn't that big yet. We're now at about 5,000 US dollars. But my entry price is 3,198. So very, very good. And my current position in Ethereum, of course, I'll keep you updated on that live as well. I've bought in twice more. Unfortunately, we've gone down again now, but that's not a problem at all. Despite everything, the position is still in profit at this point. But here as well, this is a 1x leverage position. It's purely for increasing my Ethereum holdings. It's a $15,000 position, but nearly $14,000 have already been realized. And there's still a bit open, but I would also move this one further down, depending on how much further we might fall. But what is very, very nice for me to see with Ethereum right now is that at least at this point in time, we're trying. You can see here, we're no longer making lower lows, and we've also broken this as a new high. Now, of course, there's the possibility, if we drop again, but I'll go into that in another chart, that you could enter a new long position here with smaller sizes and take advantage of a possible bullish price action upwards. But otherwise, I see something similar with Ethereum. I'm switching to a neutral chart. Here we have the neutral chart, which also includes these entries. And here again, it's important to closely observe what options do we have if we should recover? Where are we headed? And here as well, just take the Fibonacci again, pull it down to the last high, to the current low. That means a recovery, as I see it at this point, I'll remove the large Fibonacci here, would at least be up to 3,493, 3,594. That's how it looks at the moment, but I'm only talking about Ethereum US dollar here. We can also take a look at the Ethereum US dollar perpetual, which is the leveraged US tether contract, and there we could see whether we might have even had slightly lower prices during this drop. It's very similar, as you can see. So we're looking at around 3,500 to 3,600 US dollars that could come into play in this case. If we switch to the 4-hour chart, what we're seeing here would be valid. That would be a possible rejection zone, but for me, it's very, very interesting. 3,733. Why do I see it that way? If I go in here now, I'll take a look at where the 0.786 Fibonacci lies. Exactly at this support zone, which we then broke through to the downside. What this could mean for me is, if this doesn't turn out to be a valid rejection zone here, then at least from a purely technical perspective, without using Fibonacci or anything else, I see that we had a breakdown from a support zone, which very often tends to get retested. And then you really need to pay attention to what happens here with Ethereum. Will we manage to get above it? Or will this become a rejection zone? We could really see even lower prices, and that's extremely important to keep in mind if we're currently in this situation with Ethereum. Today, I won't be analyzing much more than Bitcoin and Ethereum. Of course, we'll also take a look at the liquidation heat map. We've already looked at the map. On the 3-day liquidation heat map, you can see massive amounts at $108,000. Then let's move on and take a look at something else on the 1-week and 2-week charts. So it's really heating up here. To be honest, that's how I see it. For me, it's just a matter of time before we reach this level. And there too, we see 111,000 to 113,000. It's super exciting to see these possible zones that we could reach. And let's also take a look at the 1-month chart. We'll do the same for Ethereum, but also for Model 3. Model 3 is so important because it gives you much deeper insight when it comes to that. But as you can see, there's hardly anything below us now, but above us, there's a very clear cluster around 117,000 US dollars. Ethereum, exactly the same. Let's take a look at that as well. Now we're looking at the 1-month chart and you can see that there's a lot more going on here. I've already shown you this in Model 3, but it's just really crazy. For example, up to 4,680 now. Let's go down to the 2-week, 1-week and 3-day charts. So we can see again why I'm bullish and maybe even caught a perfect entry almost at the bottom. With what I shared with you, 3,920, it's really heating up there. And all of this goes up to about 4,050 US dollars. Super exciting on the 2-week chart. Let's see what the 1-week chart says. And hopefully now you understand what I mean. When something is heating up like this, I just follow the liquidity with my orders. Sure, here and there I got in a bit too early. I couldn't time the bottom here perfectly, but that's just how it is. My Fibonacci system still works very, very well despite everything. But you can see here, this is of course a magical magnet for the market makers, for the big institutions to flush out all the shorts that are currently in play. 3 more days to go, and that's what I mean. So 3,700, 3,800, a huge cluster, and even before that as well. It's super exciting that these are being liquidated. But don't forget one thing, the more let's look at Ethereum here as well, whether it's Ethereum or Bitcoin. The more we fall here, new long positions keep getting built up. And of course, this can keep happening over and over again so that these get taken out. But even on a weekly basis, Ethereum has 10.1 billion US dollars above us, up to a price of 4,166. This Burj Khalifa here, this skyline that we have is really fascinating, but this price of 3,918 just looks so tempting to me. Not just for me, of course, but also for the institutional players because there are an incredible number of short positions with their liquidations lying there. If we quickly compare this with Model 3, you know it, my favorite liquidation heat map, which simply gives us much more information. Also in the last 48 hours, 107,000, 108,000 US dollars. If we look at Bitcoin over a week and we'll do the same for Ethereum, you'll see that these clusters here, it's shown so clearly where the price, in my opinion, exactly has a point of attraction to trigger these liquidations here. Earlier it was the other way around. Remember, I talked about this. We had these clusters below us, now they're above us. And right now the market is experiencing maximum pain, don't forget that. But you can see here, even over 2 weeks, it's similar. We've just accumulated so much here. Let's look at the 1-month view again, and then we'll take a look at Ethereum. It's actually super exciting what's happening right now with the liquidations. We shouldn't forget that, no matter how great the pain is at the moment. This is simply a level that's just burning so intensely right now. Now let's take a look at Ethereum. And you might remember from the last videos, Ethereum is extremely interesting. It just has a high time frame. Here we only see it over 1 month. I'll show you this again over 3 months. And for everyone who has stuck around, you might see in the medium-term future what I mean. We're talking about billions here, so it's all accumulated, and now it's probably even more. In the last video, this was 80 billion sitting above us, between 4,800 and 5,400. We've just picked up an incredible amount of liquidity here again. Here you can see 1.4 billion, 1.18 billion, 1.44. Just look at that. 1.18, 1.92. Incredible. So with this wick downwards, which Ethereum made and which was very, very, very strong, another 15 to 20 billion in long positions were certainly liquidated. So if that's not slowly but surely enough, then I don't know what is. We also mustn't forget the last 6 months with Ethereum have been super interesting. We've now already squeezed a lot out of all those billions. There are still a few left underneath. So maybe get ready in case it comes to it that we could go even lower. But this cluster for me would technically be the bear market bottom if we really do go down now. Around the 2,000 US dollar mark, which we see here. What else would match up here? I don't want to say we're definitely going there now, but at 2,000 there are 7.17 billion lying there. But I noticed something today, and you can see right here in this price range, if we look at the order blocks, in other words, where people have placed their orders. You can see here, these are all orders being displayed here. You can also see how many millions there are here. But you can also clearly see how conspicuously people have placed their orders right in this price range. 23 million, what else do we have? 5 million, 4 million, 25 million. So in this cluster here, people have simply positioned themselves. And what do I always say? I do the same thing. Just to be safe, no matter what happens, no matter how quickly we might drop. I don't really think that's going to happen now. That would be a massive crash. But I place long orders here. It can't hurt. If they're there and we drop, then they're there and I'm prepared. But if we drop and I don't have anything placed and then we get a recovery, I'll be annoyed that I didn't get in here, even though I had all this data from the level 2 data right here. Before we move on to the trading bot, you see, I just told you recently that the institutional investors who hold more than 10,000 Bitcoins are just starting to accumulate. That doesn't mean we're going to stop falling now. No, the more we fall, the more they accumulate. And they're not doing this without reason. They're starting to buy in heavily now at a discount so they can sell again when prices rise. That's a good sign, because as soon as they start selling, I'm not really a fan of staying in the market either. In fact, I've already sold some of my Ethereum at the peak. I sold Bitcoins at the peak as well, and I've always kept an eye on that. To wrap up, just a quick word about the trading bots. You know, the TCA spot martingale. As you can see, I've now added more orders to the very first bots. It's really simple. That means we have 39 orders here. I've done a test for you now. It's really easy. So just as a small example, you simply go in here and then you see your open bot. That's all fine with me. Even if they're in the negative, the take profit that's going to be triggered now will be really juicy. But what you simply do here is go in and, for example, say you want to add 10 more orders. And it tells me, okay, I need to add another 3,000. Then you click on confirm, because then I would have a total of 60 orders. And if you scroll down, you'll see that more orders are added down here, which are now at 50 and would then be increased to 60. If you don't update it right away, just refresh the website and then you'll see it in there. This little example here is just so you can see it at the end. If I scroll down here now to where I did this morning, because I haven't done it yet either, just so you can see that it works without any problems, that I've now added more orders here. 51, 52, 53, 54, and 55, and now it will continue buying up to $2,601 US. So it's super exciting. Even at this point, we have a price of 3,324, and my take profit is set at 3,659. Easy. From my perspective, I see this as easy, especially if I look at Ethereum now. Where could we go? I see 3,733 as a very valid level, at the very latest as a retest. And then the take profit would be reached. And the bot, the vehicle, starts over again. For everyone who doesn't know it yet, feel free to subscribe to my channel. Check out the first video. 100% passive income on autopilot. I explained it in detail there. In my opinion, it really works without any problems. But I only do it in spot. If you want to use leverage, of course, you have to decide for yourself whether you want to do it that way or not. But it's really fascinating to watch how the vehicle operates. With that, I've said everything there is to say today. I'm positioned long now. I'm in build positions. If we continue to fall, I'm in there. And I have extremely low entry prices without my positions being heavily in the loss right now. And I just have to hope the market goes up. See you next time.